first like to take the time to welcome you all to the 17th Annual Riverside Ram Slam. I will be your MC. My name is E.T. I know that's a lot of initials, but let's get started with meeting our judges. So, first off, we had a quick change. It is now Allison Johnson, who's a librarian at SCLD and is organizing her first Northern Slam this year. Welcome. For our next judge, we have Corin Wilson. Corin is a librarian. That one right there, yes, that's right. At Northern Spokane Library, where she organizes community poetry slams, spends a lot of time counting beans, and rescues balloons from the ceiling. She enjoys almost any ice cream. All right, our third judge, sitting not so directly in the center, is a former Riverside English teacher and drama director, Donna Didier, who you may know previously was named Donna Scooch. Is that right? Scooch? Good enough. All right, I'm sorry. Donna taught Riverside for 28 years and directed many plays on this very stage. The group over there to the left is kind of scaring me with their screams. All right. Our fourth judge is a former Riverside teacher and administrator, Jackie Edwards. For 31 years, Jackie taught math at middle school and then became the assistant principal up here at the high school. Thank you for making it. And our last judge, who is certainly not the least, is a former Riverside teacher as well as the former counselor, Jeannie Powers. Jeannie worked at Riverside for 30 years, first as an elementary school teacher and later the lead counselor at the high school. Look at that progress. Welcome. So now, as we kind of get rolling to transition between judges and the rules, I'd like to say that we do not boo the poets. If anything, we boo the judges for how bad their scoring is because they're very unfair, at least in our opinions. All right, so number one rule is each poem has to be of the poet's own construction. That means no AI, no stealing off the internet, no copying down something random you heard in the streets of Seattle. That means it has to be your own. All right, and poets get 3 minutes. And a 10-minute grace period after that. Anything after that is a half point off of the total score for every 10 seconds. Poets may use nothing but the mic. That means no props and no going off the stage. Please keep it kind of on the stage. We're recording and we'd like it to stay kind of on frame. All right, so with the scoring, it's kind of complicated, but basically all the scores will be given, all 5 of them, and the highest and the lowest of all the scores out of 10 will be dropped, and the remaining 3 scores will be combined to be out of 30. We will have one round of poems today, and if you like a line, do not clap during the middle of the poem, as it makes it hard for other people to hear, and often for yourself to hear. Instead, you just want to give some snaps, because then it shows appreciation and understanding while still kind of allowing us to hear the rest of the poem and hear that wisdom. Let's do an example of some snaps around the audience. All right. And then if you notice a poet is feeling particularly nervous or is pausing for a long time and seems to be struggling, we can send some good vibes their way just by rubbing our hands together as kind of a quiet thing of saying, hey, you got this and we're with you. All right. So for our first thing up, for our first poet, we have our sacrificial poet, which basically means in order to get the judges warmed up and get all of their bad scores hopefully out of the way, we have someone come in and their scores don't count towards the official podium. And our sacrificial poet this year is none other than our own Miss Alamy.
Okay, next year, my fellow English teachers, you're coming up here with me. So we're gonna write a team piece together next year. This one's dedicated to my fellow English teachers and Miss Scoob. You'll see why in a sec. Okay. True story, based on a true story. The title of my poem is April 23rd, birthday of my beloved, and the day the valedictorian betrayed me. It happened on a special spring morning, the birthday of my beloved, as the eye of heaven shone through the wide windows and warmed the wary, wistful faces of my young scholars who loved everything we read, especially the final play of their high school career by the greatest playwright of all time. He, the one, the valedictorian, raised his hand, not so eagerly, like a sad flower, like I didn't know if he had a question or an itch. Calling on him, I did not expect the betrayal, the blasphemy, the assault, the onslaught of my people when he asked, "Teach, why read Shakespeare?" Breathe, think, I tell myself as I feel the knife pierce my heart. I am too injured, too insulted to answer. And it is at this moment that my career faced Frost's proverbial two roads. The shortcut, dismiss the idiotic inquiry with a roll of the eyes and a loud, exaggerated sigh. Or take the road less traveled. I decide that he will not. Where the heck was I? I decide that he is not going to tame me like a quiet Kate. I will not die like a muted fly. Why read Shakespeare? Because the bard is brilliant. He speaks about life, the strife, the hype, how it's hard to do what is right. His works are filled with intense insights. He's the master manipulator of language and sounds. His lines go up and then they go down, all to a rhythm, all to a beat, sometimes in rhyme and counted feet. Iambic pentameter. Why read Shakespeare? He's only the world's worthiest writer. For 400 years he stood out a fighter. He's referenced in songs, films, fiction. Nobody can write with such dexterous diction. His phrases are fresh and descriptions are tight. He can be tragic and serious or cheeky and light. He understands people, relationships, sex. And I know you like to read that kind of text. Why read Shakespeare? Because he speaks about truth, injustice, love, fear. We learn about life from characters like Lear. Shakespeare is witty, ironic, and can pull off a pun. He's playful, racy, and likes to have fun. He speaks about greed, needs, how humans bleed, all in a metaphor that can make you see the beauty, the scars, the hope in us all. He shows us how easily a good man can fall. The light that flowed from my form stains the classroom floor as the blonde assassin feigns a look of dizzy surprise. And I whisper my last words to him. Eat too, Brute. Thank you.
All right, now for a practice, let's see how our judges and mathematicians do. Starting from the left, we've got a solid 9. We've got a solid 8. Yes, that's right. That's the right response. All right, next up we got a 10. And next up, we've got another 10. And finally, we've got a 15. we have a final score?
And we'll make sure he can read this little board.
Yeah. I don't really have any good jokes. I'm not a very funny person, I'm sorry. All right, and it looks like our final score is 28.5. All right, now that we're all kind of feeling a little bit warmed up, we'll welcome our first poets who are in a team piece, and that is Adeline, Shelby, Khadija, and Valerie. There's only one thing I hate more than speaking in front of people. It's poems, essays, group projects, and slides.
It's not the group overall that I hate. It's feeling being in the spotlight. All the eyes on you. Judging you from the top of your head to the very bottom of your shoe. What side is mine?
Then there's the what ifs. What if I stutter?
What if I talk too fast?
Too slow?
What if I speak too loud? Too quiet?
What if I add a word?
A word?
What if I miss a word?
What if I miss my cue?
What if I repeat a line? What if I repeat a line?
The what ifs make it to my brain. That's when I start shaking. Wait.
When the what ifs make it to my brain,
Oh, that's when I start shaking. I forget my words. I lose control.
then it's the teacher breathing down my neck. Speak up.
Slow down.
Take a breath.
Calm down.
What did you say?
What do you want
me to do? Do I speak up or do I slow down?
Am I talking with emotion?
Am I moving my hands? Did I make eye contact? Great, now I'm wiping my hands.
What do you want?
My group is looking at me with stares and sharpening eyes. I've known these kids for 9 years, yet what are they thinking?
They aren't laughing. They're completely silent, eyeing me down like predators stalking prey.
Can someone laugh, smile, do anything, please?
The groups I'm supposed to be with. Wait, what's my line?
Just skip it.
I'm split up away from my friends, left to fend for all for myself.
Presenting is like a steep hill. You're standing on top, or you're at the bottom. Our ideas are different. I barely know these people, so what kind of presentation are they doing? What do I talk about?
When do I put my ideas in?
Without my ideas, I feel like a freeloader. Would have made too much. More of their ideas.
I would much rather be with my friends.
I look across the room seeing how unhappy they are.
They look as if they're stuck in a cage.
Wait, what line are we on?
51.
Looking around, the faces are still flick.
Did I
do a good job?
I shook through my talking and skipped a few words.
I know my group noticed, but did anyone else? I memorized my part the night before. I know my line. I know my key.
But the what ifs are invading my mind. The words I'm looking for are hard to find.
The words I know are gone. Why can't I remember?
I stand up in front, the teacher's expressionless face, staring into our souls as the class sits, just wanting to leave class and get this horrendous experience over with.
I count to 5. 1, 2, 4, 5.
You skipped a number.
Deep breath in.
Exhale through your nose. Same technique, same confidence on entry. You have to clap, you have to finish embarrassing. Rush back to our desks, even worse. And hoping that nobody will remember this experience, I worry that I didn't say everything I wrote.
The worried looks of my group are shared as we wait for a grade. There are 2 options for a grade. You get a good grade, or
Because of Adeline and her stupid stuttering, our grade follows, along with our hopes and dreams. So, in the end, we finally finished. It's all okay until,
We have to do it again.
with a different group.
though it's all the same.
The tears, the what ifs, the horrified look we share with our friends, and the realization that we're doing it all over again.
So it's very cool when we do see one like that, especially something about being in a team, because I think we can all agree that forced group work sucks. All right, so starting from the list of our judges, we've got an 8.5. Next up, we've got an 8.8. Next up, we've got a 7.8. All right, and then our fourth score is an 8.5. And our final score is a 7.5. All right. It's just a reminder that the poets that are up here today, 8 of them will go on to the Northern Slam. They have 2 pieces, so if you're in the poets, keep that in mind. And keep in mind if you want to do this in the future. Math team, do we have a score? All right, the final score, thank you, is a 24.8. All right, let's keep that applause going for our next team piece, which is Annabella and Ella.
As soon as I locked eyes with the manager, after gingerly and slowly retrieving the chopsticks from my pulse, I realized I should check my bag just one more time. It was mindless, witless, moronic, and utterly brain dead on me not to. You see, we had a terrible sleepover. My brother had been in a car crash. So in an attempt to lift our spirits, we went to the mall. A terrible mistake. As we walked in our stores, through crowds of people, up and down escalators, we stumbled upon a comic book shop. Intrigued, we went inside and discovered 2 lovable scenery products. So we scattered our limited amount of money across a nearby table. Accompanied by those revolting chopsticks, we scrambled together just enough to pay, with only a few pennies, quarters, and dimes left. It was perfect. And in one swift motion, I swept everything in my pulse. Wait, I swept everything in my pulse? I swept everything into my pulse. The chopsticks! Before I could grasp the magnitude of my error, we were already in the back room. Sir, I swear those horrendous chopsticks found their way into her purse by pure accident. It was our mistake not to double-check our bags. It was a harmless oversight, nonetheless. Besides, if she really wanted to steal something, it wouldn't be those wretched red ones. Her favorite color's blue. You're not helping! And from that moment on, the manager's mood worsened. He humiliated, degraded, belittled, and personally attacked us, yet commended us for almost pulling it off. And while he called my parents, all I thought about that awful bag. The bag which held the chopsticks. The bag I didn't check. The bag that caused him to confront us. And the bag I regretted bringing. And from that moment on, we decided to burn it. That's a problem.
I'm not gonna lie there, the burning at the end kind of was a very twist ending I did not expect. Yes. Alright, so they're writing down our scores. Another thing to keep in mind is that the point is the poetry, not the points. Meaning that while we are technically scoring people 4 points, the poems often go over people's heads and everything has its own value. And so instead of focusing on the final score, we should be focusing on what the poet is actually saying. Just something to keep in mind. Thank you, random person I can't see. All right, starting from the left, we've got an 8.7. All right, next up we've got an 8.9. In the middle, we've got a solid 8. And in fourth, we have a 7.5. was trying to tell a dad joke, and I only know one, mainly because Miss Alamy told it to me, and it's, how do poets stay so cool? It's because they have so many fans. I know, quite the knee slapper. All right, and for our final score, we've got a 24.7. All right, and please welcome to the stage our next poet, Ben Willis.
Ready? Who am I? 3 simple words, 1 not so simple question. Who am I? The words throw themselves at me like a bolt of lightning, the electricity ringing through my mind. Who, what, where, when, why, how am I me? I hesitate. The thoughts, they resonate in my mind, the words, they linger in my throat. Am I supposed to state the facts, or should I recite every note of my life? The facts are simpler. I express them in a whimper. One by one, I state them. My name, my age, what I am doing with my life, but no, this is not right. This is not the who, this is the what, but I feel like I do not have the gut to say it all. And the what is what they want, but the who is what is true, so I take a leap and let my thoughts run wild back to the times of a young child. I whisper to the child, who am I? The child just smiles as I let out a sigh. You see, back then it was different. I was different. No facade to hide my innermost feelings. If I was happy, I laughed out loud. If I was sad, I cried out till my eyes had no more tears to shed. But then, life hit me. So many people, so many places, so many thoughts, so many faces, and many questions. The most prevailing one being, where do I go from here? Well, the seemingly best option would be to first find some people, and second, figure out how to fit in. Alrighty then, just suck it up and go for it. See who they want me to be and be that. Everything goes as planned. I begin to fit in. And before I know it, I begin to fit in everywhere I go. And simply by modifying and changing who I am, copying here, pasting there, and most of all, subtracting. Hiding what is underneath, stopping the flow of the river and diverting it back upon myself till my mind fills to the extremities, wanting to scream, wanting to shout, be who they want me to be. I can't hold it in anymore. The feelings of my emotions expanding, inflating like a balloon, filling up and filling up. The nitrogen, the helium, the oxygen, the elements of my emotions set in motion, building up so as not to break free from those who like me for the me I have chosen to be. Expanding, inflating, too much, pop! There goes the last of what was once me. For I am who you need me to be. I wear the clothes that you wove upon my body to hide what was once there, until those clothes seeped into my flesh and blood and made me what I am. So, who am I? That's up to you to decide. Personally, I think it would be easier to go ahead and ask, what am I?
Those are some very high-pitched screams over there, and once more, I'm a little concerned. But I love the enthusiasm. Let's keep that up, I guess. All right. So for our first score, we have a 9.4. Next up, we have a solid 9. And for our middle score, we have a 9.9. Next up, we've got another solid 9. And our final score is a third solid 9. and that actually takes place here in just a couple weeks on Monday, March 18th at 6:30 p.m. It is free and all are welcome to join and support our poets. It will not only be us from Riverside, but other northern schools as well. Just something, don't laugh at me right now. I can hear you. Just keep that in mind. All right, math team, do we have our score? It's a 27.4! And with poetry, it's important to notice that a lot of these topics kind of dive into deeper things that can sometimes be a little triggering for some people. So we have a trigger warning on this next poem for self-harm and drug usage. Give it up for Charlie Marshmore.
I can't stand kids these days. They're loud and disruptive, and they don't know how to read. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to read because they hate school, and they were taught to read by sounding words out. Words that make no sense. Words like orange and thesis and juxtaposition and synonym and epidemic, and we have an epidemic on our hands. The kids are illiterate. They don't know how to read anything. They don't know how to read books, or they don't know how to read people, or they don't know how to read a room. Get a room. The kids these days don't know how to get a room. These kids are making kids in hallways and bathrooms, and they're flirting with life every single day. They make jokes about their lives. They make jokes about their lives, and I can see why. We don't treat the kids these days like kids, so the kids these days play pretend. They pretend to be kids. They pretend to read. They pretend to live. They pretend they want to live. They don't like pretending they want to live, so they paint stripes with razor blades because they try to fix the problem. They'll fix the problem. They can't fix the problem. The problem is that kids these days have problems, but the problems aren't their own. But the grown-ups can't figure it out, so the kids will take the problems and shove them as far down as they can, because that's how you fix problems. You ignore problems. You ignore the problem. You guys are ignoring the problem. The problem... You guys are ignoring the problem. You can't just shove things in a hole and cover them up with words, or paper, or alcohol, or nicotine, or Jesus, or weed, or school, or poetry. You can't cover them up because the problem is still there under the blanket. You say, I can't see it, it's not there, or it's not my problem, you can figure it out. Or just pick up a book and learn how to read, or I can't stand kids these days. The kids these days are starving. They're hungry. They're hungry for love, for home, for words. The kids these days are tired. They're tired because they live in a world where problems are ignored and dismissed. They're tired because they do the same thing over and over and over and over until it kills them. Do me a favor and find one of the kids from these days. Give them a hug, tell them you love them, and tell them that they just have to wait a little longer. Because one day, they won't be the kids these days. I'm one of the kids these days, and I can tell you that the kids these days are tired because they keep hearing that you can't stand the kids these days. Well, guess what? The kids these days can't stand you. They can't stand you anymore, and they're not going to.
Thank you, Charlie. And just as a little reminder, I know some things can be shocking in the poems that may make you want to be and gasp out loud, but you got to remember to cut down on the talking just a little bit as it disrupts other people from hearing it. So you're going to have to keep your voices down, and again, we just snap. We can't be using our voices because then we can't hear the poetry, and then there's nothing to snap or talk about at all. All right, so starting from the left, we have our first score of a 9.4. All right, our next score is a 9.1. I can see it on your face. You know I'm coming. The judgment is, I'm judging you right now. I want you to know that. It's a 7.8. You knew that was going to happen. All right, our next score is a solid 9. score is a 27.5. All right, please welcome to the stage our next poet, Helena Rain.
Hello. Big Beauty says, I will never be pretty, because mental breakdowns need covered up by CoverGirl concealer and a disgusting yellow crescent. I will never be pretty. Bright blue eyes need curtains of gold with too much foundation because we're too old to cry, let alone show the streaks they leave behind. I will never be pretty. Chubby cheeks need contour, small lips need big liner, short lashes need curled, and dark bags need light cover-up flies. If these are Big Beauty standards, I will never be pretty. Long girlies need a tiny waist, fair skin, blue eyes, white teeth, and big thighs, but yet no tummy. I will never be pretty. Broken homes need a pretty face covered in dark makeup, clothes, and a cheap nightlife. I will never be pretty. Smarties need those big glasses, a dorky smile, and to never go to a party, and I can barely make an A, so I will never be pretty. Athletes need big biceps, a six-pack, and to lift 180 pounds, and I still can't. So I will never be pretty. Loudmouths need big lips, green eyes, and bright red hair of fire. I will never be pretty. I will never be pretty. I will never be pretty. Big Beauty will always tell us that we're not pretty unless we're skinny but not bony, curvy but not fat, be fair but not pasty nor have any melanin, have no acne but still look real, act modest but still show a little bit of skin, dress up but not too much, wear makeup but don't kick it on, speak up but not too loud, eat up but that's too much when we've gone back for our second place. And to never, ever let ourselves go, even if we work every night shift, have 3 kids, we still must be pretty. We are told to live up to Big Beauty standards, but in reality, when will we ever be pretty?
All right, thank you. I'm seeing a lot of good repetition tonight. That's always a fun thing to see in poems. All right, starting with our first score on the left, we've got a solid 9. All right, our next score is an 8.9. And our third score, doing a little bit better than last time, is an 8.2. Still a little room for improvement. All right, our fourth score is a 9.1. And our final score is a 9.6. And just a little announcement in case you're anything like me and like to avoid my problems and people that I know and doing things I don't like. There's actually an open mic at Nito Burrito every Wednesday at 6:30. They've got good burritos and, you know, if you're there, maybe some good poetry, who knows? All right, math team, do we have a score? We've got a solid 27. And for our next poet, I would like to apologize in advance because I don't know how to say your last name, and unlike Mr. Coles, I can't avoid it. All right, it's going to be Olga Octav.
all went through this time, a feeling betrayed, not needed, emotionally killed, and all left alone. The only thing we need to remember is that people come and go in our lives and leave really bad scars on our hearts. We sometimes tend to think, why is this happening? Why do I have to go through this? Why do I have to suffer every single day, seeing you ignore me, talk to other people, leave me crying and hang all to myself? And I know that you may say, you're not a misfit, you're just not a perfect fit. But that makes me want to quit, admitting that I'm in a pit. But I still can remember that feeling of having a close friend whom I can talk to and spill everything. Remembering those times when we laughed, cried, talked, and goofed around, only having you leaving me with these memories. But what happened to all those days? You coming over one day and just saying, you're a bad friend. Or like, actually, I never considered you as a friend in first place. You never really meant to me anything anyways. Just that devastating feeling of not being important, just played, and feeling like a full-on nonsense. But do you know what I know for a fact? Is that people and friends get into our lives like a filthy snake that eats us from the inside, knowing and preparing us for this heartbreaking moment in our lives, but still using our naive mentality and our heartfelt hearts, becoming an important piece in our hearts, but then just betraying and leaving you for someone who may seem more popular, better looking, and maybe even better character-wise, as they say, which just makes